Welcome to the Missouri Valley Conference Game of the Week preview show presented by Mercy, the official orthopedics and sports medicine provider of the Missouri Valley Conference. With Coach Brian Wardle of the Bradley Braves, I'm Harry Schroeder. And Wednesday night at 6 p.m. on your local Gray media station and on Matrix Midwest here in St. Louis, the Braves will be at Indiana State taking on the Sycamores in Terre Haute, Indiana. And Brian, thanks for joining us this morning. Sunday, you had quite an exciting game with the Valparaiso Beacons, double overtime. Do coaches like it, like fans do, or broadcasters do, or do they despise those overtime games?
No, I mean, it's part of it. I've been through so many. Um, Winning in the Valley's always hard, especially when you got a target on your back. And we've had a lot of games like that over the years. So you would like to not be in overtime as a coach, and obviously as a team, you'd like to play well enough where you can finish it in regulation. But um, you got to give Valparaiso credit. They came in with a good game plan. They executed it. They were aggressive. They were physical, and it took us too long to respond. And then we had a lead in the second half, and we kind of let it slide a couple times on us, and it ended up being a heck of a basketball game. And I think everybody in the stands really enjoyed it. It was an entertaining, competitive spirit was out there, and we're just happy that we found a way to win. And that's what good teams do. You got to find ways to win games where maybe you didn't have your best, or the other team was just outplaying you for, probably 30 minutes of the game, like I thought Valpo did. But we made enough plays down the stretch. We executed pretty well out of timeouts, and it led to a win. So it's good because we haven't had a ton of close games. We've only had a few, and we've been able to pull those out. So that's a good sign.
Watching that game and paying attention to Valparaiso was not picked high in the preseason standings. You talk about how difficult it is to win in the league. They lose to Drake by 6 in their first game, and to you in double overtime, I think by 6 again. It's going to be a very balanced, tough league.
Yeah, Valpo is. You watch teams on film and then you see them in person, and sometimes you get a different feel on the sidelines. And I think Valpo um, plays very hard, very physical. Roger's done a good job of improving that program from year one to year two, and that's what building a program does. I mean, he's added good pieces, tough kids. They really are physical and compete, and I think they're going to cause some problems in our league. I really do, because they did play Drake well and they played us very well, and so I think they're going to have a chance to bring some noise in this league for sure.
In the first overtime, Darius Hannah was amazing, and then he fouled out. In the second overtime, Zeke took over. Did you guys just like roll dice and decide who's going to be the star at certain points of the game?
Well, I think coaching is finding the hot hand and putting him in position to succeed. And Mike Bargan on my staff did a great job with offensive play calling and in those situations. But yeah, Darius, unfortunately battled foul trouble the whole game. We were in foul trouble a lot that game. We gave up way too many free throws, fouled way too much. So, we have a lot to learn. We do have some holes we got to continue to work on our weaknesses. But Darius was tremendous in overtime. Zeke really carried us in the second overtime. Duke made plays when we needed them to. So, that's what you need. You need your stars. I always say, got to be stars in the big games, and definitely in the big moments. You hope that they can rise up and make big plays, and our guys have been able to do that so far this year.
Yeah, that 75-footer by Duke Dean at the end of the first half wasn't bad either.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even really see it. I was frustrated with how we were playing, and I was tunnel vision to the locker room. But yeah, the crowd went nuts. I'm like, he just made that. That was a good substitution, because I subbed him in with like a second to go. And I think he looked at me like, why are you putting me in right now? I'm like, just get in the game, get the ball in bounds so we don't turn it over. And he ends up making that shot. So that was good. And it honestly kind of ignited him a little bit, because he hadn't really found his rhythm that whole first half. And then he got going early to start the second half, I think, because of that shot a little bit.
I want to move on and talk about Wednesday night, the game of the week on Matrix Midwest. But the thing that impressed me a lot about your team on Sunday was the guards. I don't know if I'm going to use the right word, but post help, getting down and taking the ball away from players in the post that were trying to back down your forwards. I thought your guards help defense down in that way was super important.
It was. We got some scrappy guards, and guards are our strength. We're deeper at the guard spot this year than we were a year ago. And, to Valparaiso's credit, I think there is a formula out there to attack us, and we know it, and we're trying to get better at defending it. But they pounded that thing inside, tried to get all our bigs in foul trouble, which they did. So we needed to help out in the second half and in overtimes, and we were able to do that. So that's gonna be big for us to continue to be smart and scrappy as the year goes on.
You talked about Roger in his second year at a program. Uh, you spent 2 years at Bradley getting it going. Since then, your team has just been terrific after those first couple of years as you were building the program. Talk about what goes into creating a culture and a program like you've done at Bradley.
Well, it'd be a lot. I've been here now 10 years, so it'd be a lot different with the portal and NIL now to rebuild. Rebuilds can happen quickly nowadays, but it wasn't that case when I took over Bradley. It was, I got the job late, and, we had to just get high character kids. I always tell people, talk to Roger about it. I've talked to other coaches in our league and coaches that have to rebuild. I've done it twice. You gotta do it with high character kids you can lose with. Kids that aren't gonna, quit on you when things get tough or not come to practice and work hard or not listen. And, you got to find the right type of kids to build a program with. And we did that here and going, I always say that first class won 5 games and then ended up winning a championship and going to the NCAA tournament by their fourth year. So that, that was the key. And then you got to make tweaks as a coach. You got to adjust, you got to adapt to your lineups and your personnel and constantly find ways to win and compete at a high level. And it's hard to do, but we got a lot of good young coaches in our league and a lot of good coaches that you can tell are making those improvements quickly and building their programs up. So it's going to be super competitive this year.
After all these years, do you still have any Tom Crean isms in you?
Great motive. I mean, he was an unbelievably high energy coach, great motivator, extremely hard worker. So yeah, I try to use some of his motivating tactics. His work ethic was second to none. Yeah, I was blessed. I worked for good coaches. I was coached by really good coaches, different too, different personalities. So you kind of take a little bit of everyone, like I always say, but you have to stay true to yourself and be authentic. I have to be who I am every day, and I'm a competitive and pretty intense guy that loves to compete. Um, but I do definitely try to use certain things from other really, really successful coaches that I've worked under or played for.
11-2, top 80 in the net, and all kinds of the different metrics that play out. How do you evaluate your team at this stage of the season?
Well, obviously the record's good. We've had some quality wins. But like I said, I'm a realist. I'm not gonna, I never lie to my guys. Here's our strengths. We do these things very well. Here's what needs work. And this is how people are attacking us and going to try to beat us. And so we got to figure out how to get better here, and make these areas better and stronger. And we do have a lot of room to improve. That's exciting for me and my staff. But we got to put the work in and be consistent and then find consistency with individual players. That always leads to consistency as a team. And so we're still working towards that, and going to continue to try to get better as this year goes on. And it's a process and it's a journey. And I think that's one thing I've known as been a head coach for a long time now. You got to enjoy the journey and continue to try to improve and find tweaks to make your team better as the year goes on.
One of those tweaks is you put Corey in the starting lineup. Talk about what went into that.
High energy, talker, rebounder. One thing, we are not a great defensive rebounding team. He's one of our better rebounders per minute by far. He's active. He's a high motor athlete. So we just liked that. We liked Allmar coming off the bench because he could sub in at different spots for us. So gives us a little more flexibility in our rotation too. So yeah, as you know, Harry, a lot goes into that, and a lot goes into rotations and who plays with who and matchups. I think that's extremely important, especially in our league. And so we got to continue to look at that and try to make sure we're putting our team and players in the best situations to be successful and succeed.
Wednesday night, the Matrix Midwest doubleheader. Bradley is at Indiana State. Talk a little bit about what you see. You probably haven't had a ton of opportunity to look at the Sycamores just yet after a Sunday game, but
Right.
but you know about them and you know what they are like because they haven't changed formats very much. Talk a little bit about the Sycamores.
Well, I mean, they're good. They're good. They're a scary team. They're very good offensively again. I think they play very fast. They got shooters on the floor, so they took a lot of that, offense from last year and implemented into this year's team and personnel, which is smart. And they got a really good guard in number 2, Teal, and did well in the portal of hitting on a couple kids. Portal recruiting is It's 50-50. But if you hit on the right class, it can change your program quickly. I thought they did a good job there. So I'm watching film now. I'm getting prepared. But they are a scary team. We respect all, fear none. I think we know if we show up and do what we do and do it well, we're a tough out. But we also know anyone can beat us if we don't show up and compete in the right and have multiple efforts and defend and do the details and the little things well. Anyone can beat us, and they're a team that can definitely beat us if we come in and not ready to compete at a high level and execute. So, scary team. Do a great job shooting the three. They do a great job with pace and scoring the ball. We're going to have to really be locked in defensively in this game.
Yeah, I was talking to Matthew Graves, and he said, "Well, if we can keep it under 100, maybe we have a chance." He said, "Because we don't play defense very well."
Well, join the club, Matthew. I'm with them right now. I'd like to see our defense and rebounding get a lot better, but uh, it's fun because they do score a lot of points, and it can be an up and down game. We want to get up and down. We like when teams run, but we're gonna have to be really smart in their home court, in their arena, which they always shoot the ball well there. We got to be great in transition defense and make sure that we match up and find their shooters right away. I think that's very important.
Brian, you guys had a great crowd yesterday. They've been drawing great crowds. There's a couple of the programs around the valley that you can just see the tide rising. It's got to be fun. It's a fun time in the valley.
It is. It's a great basketball league. It really is. It's the Midwest. It's mostly mid to small towns and cities that love ball. And I think that's what's different about our league. And I tell that in recruiting all the time. You're playing in front of big crowds. Like our newcomers are gonna realize, oh man, this is great. We're going to Indiana State. They're gonna have a big crowd. Southern Illinois had a big crowd. That's what you want to do, play for as a competitor, is play in front of a big crowd and feel that excitement and that energy. And that it will definitely be rocking in Terre Haute, I'm sure, New Year's Day.
Appreciate your time today, Brian Wardle. Best of luck the rest of the season. Always enjoy getting together with you. Our Wednesday night
Thanks, Eric.
coverage begins at 6 p.m. Central. For information on where you can catch the games, head to MVC-sports.com. For the Missouri Valley Conference, I'm Harry Schroeder.